Greetings, all my fellow humans out there, and all you shining stars as well. Welcome! I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, the eternal sleepy boy, bringing you yet another review. This time it's Star vs. the Forces of Evil's Season 4 premiere, which is actually just a single episode for the most part, which kind of took me off guard. But that's also kind of in line with the whole Star versus the Forces of Evil shtick. You know, they never really take things as seriously as you expect them to in certain places. But we open up with Star raiding a tower with the aid of Marco and River. And as things go on, we actually see that Star has that photograph that she got from Father Time all those seasons ago. But we come to find out they are raiding this tower because they believe that Queen Moon might be here. But as they blast their way in, they just find some random dude in prison. And as we come to find out, they've been raiding this tower. This is actually the third time they've checked this tower. So they've been combing across Muni for quite some time. But we also come to find out many of the humans are not at all happy with Star and her choices, where she completely destroyed the status quo of Muni, and many are not taken to her choices in allowing cohabitation and equality with the monster race, which, oof, topical. But they've been just searching over and over, and they're just starting to get a little bit discouraged because they've just gone over so many places so many times. We also have a little bit of tension between Star and Tom, where she's kind of insulting Tom to a certain degree. So much so that Tom even ends up calling up Marco to kind of get some understanding of what's going on, because he's at a loss for the most part. And honestly, that situation is definitely going to come to a head at some point. And I might feel a little bit bad for Tom, but Tom can be a bit of a jerk, so I don't know if I'll be completely okay with it. But a random monster actually comes by, checking to see if they're okay, and tries to leave once he finds out, yeah, they're cool, they're just searching around for stuff. But they do notice the monster shirt, which depicts Queen Moon on it at some kind of pie carnival. We also get a bit of, the situation where Star's not the most popular amongst the humans. Monsters love her. They're so thankful to her because now monsters can pretty much go anywhere and do pretty much anything now that they're just allowed to do whatever they'd like. So they arrive at the pie carnival with advertisements like, hey, see the true Queen of Muni. So Queen Moon is basically being seen by certain humans as a, harkening back to a better time when monsters and humans were as whatever god these people have, as God intended, separate, divided, and at each other's throats. So, just gotta love that racial prejudice right there. But River is completely against going to see the pie folk, as he was previously swindled by them in the past. However, Star just kind of wanders in. She's not really listening too much to River. But we have various situations where Marco's just hungry. He wants him some pie. But at every turn, River's just like, no, stay away from their pie. They'll swindle you out of all your money. Which basically starts to happen. But they end up, coming to Queen Moon's location, but she's apparently on break for the most part, as Marco continues to be swindled out of his money. And they're constantly misdirected at every turn, being led to gift shops and stuff. Just, these pie folk really want them to spend their money here, and they eventually do to a certain degree. But Star starts to get a little bit distraught because, maybe, her decision to, hand things over to Meteora wasn't right, because it's become very apparent that just so many humans just blame her and look down on her and, think very poorly of her in the long run, that she's just starting to kind of doubt herself for the most part. She was only queen for a little while, and most people would say she did a piss poor job of it. But they end up, stumbling upon a production where apparently Queen Moon is set to appear. So they sit through it, but unfortunately it is a bit of a mocking commentary on, the family for the most part, Star and River, as these bumbling oafs, these buffoons for the most part. And, it's not a flattering depiction as a whole. However, they end up seeing Queen Moon on stage, and Star immediately goes in, happy to finally have found her mother. However, once the humans in attendance realize he is the true Star Butterfly, angry mob. It's just become that bad, so they have to basically escape right then and there. And once, Moon, Star and River are happy to be reunited with Moon, they only come to find out this is not truly Moon. This is actually an actor just dressing up and playing the part for the most part. So, unfortunately, they're just wallowing in their sadness, whereas Marco, ever the cross-dresser himself, is just completely taken with, the level of detail this actor managed to put into his costume. But, it's kind of broken up when the guy kind of goes over and is just like, hey, I'm so happy to meet you, Star. It's not every day you meet someone who ruined the whole kingdom. And in a huff, Star turns the guy into this toad squirrel thing, which runs off into the forest. But Star is set to continue her search, even though they've pretty much gone across the entirety of Muni, and it takes Marco just kind of calling her out, like, look, you need to get some rest, just take some time, and we'll revisit this later on. They've been searching for days. It's time to call it quits for a little bit, basically. But once they get back home to, New Monster Town, basically, River is just completely unwilling to go inside any form of, lodging until Moon is found. So he just sleeps outside, and we see that, the new kingdom of Muni, the new kingdom of monsters, basically, is at, Globulor's castle. So there's that now as well. And it's being basically spruced up, fixed up, made all nice and pretty by, Meteora's people, while, Muni Castle is basically falling into disrepair and destruction after the whole fight with Meteora and all that good stuff. We also see that various monsters have been incorporated into the Muni, knighthood and stuff like that. So, nice little bit of melding of the two races here for the most part, those loyal to the crown as a whole. However, it is very apparent that some within the employ of the kingdom still seek the return of Queen Moon because she offered a lot of balance and stability to the human population. So they feel that things might get a sense of normalcy should she return. We also see that the effort to free Globgor isn't really going too well despite all the effort Meteora has put behind it. It's just showing that it's almost impossible to really break through the thick crystal. But, Star and Meteora kind of relate on the fact that they are longing to be reunited with someone they care deeply about. Which, I love that they're showing the sense of empathy and the care and kindness that Meteora has towards Star. Meteora has been nothing if not a very nice and cordial person as a whole. And when they arrive in Star and Marco's little room here, we also see baby Meteora, the little she-demon herself. And, though she is very sweet and cute to her mom, when it comes to Marco, she shows a little bit of tendencies that might imply she remembers more than she lets on. Star, however, continues to try her best to search for her mother in any way, shape, or form she possibly can. But Meteora kind of tries to detract from this as, Star's just become so obsessive, she's not giving her body proper time to rest. And Star has just become frustrated with the fact that she's met with nothing at every turn, at every attempt she tries when she searches. To the point where she just goes right up to Glossaric and is just like, dude, cut the BS, just lay it on me. Why can't I find my mom? I should be able to find her. I went into the magical dimension to, fend off Toffee. I went into the magical dimension to find my mom. Why am I having such a hard time finding a way back there, some kind of clue as to the whereabouts of my mother? But then Glossaric gives his usual crypticness, but in a response that just makes you kind of question certain things, in the fact that he almost seems to imply that searching for Moon was a mistake, as well as the defeat of Toffee, too. So there's definitely something deeper on the horizon if, Glossaric were to even imply this. And the thing about that too is the fact that this is probably one of the most straightforward answers we've ever really gotten from Glossaric, because he's hinting that there is something more, something much deeper to Toffee's involvement, Moon's involvement. Something bigger is out there, and we're gonna see it in this final season of Star Versus. But Meteora and Marco end up having a bit of a talk, and that's in regards to the fact that, with the, all-seeing eye spells, Star was completely unable to find Moon, and that's a very powerful spell that sees past dimensions. And if they're unable to find Moon with that spell, it might suggest that Moon is no more, and someone needs to tell Star that it might be that Moon is no longer amongst the living. So Marco sits her down and tries to have this discussion with her, but, Star brings out the photo that we saw earlier, the one she got from Father Time, and she suggests that, hey, if this is something that hasn't happened yet, we've never gone and partied on a beach like this, and so if we're this happy, if I'm this happy in a picture in the future, and it doesn't even look like the too distant future, then that gives me hope that I might one day find my mom, which is actually very solid logic for the most part. But Marco calls out this creates a bit of a time paradox for the most part, and there's a lot of uncertainty behind it, but it creates the suggestion that Father Time gave her this with the possibility of it, leading her to continue to have hope for the future. So once they settle in for bed, we find out Marco still has one of the pies, despite Star's protest, and even she, being tired of corn all the time, actually goes to take a bit of a bite, but she notices something, specifically the fact that it has the same kind of design, the same kind of, little flair that Queen Moon would always give to one of her pies. And this suggests that Queen Moon might truly be out there on Pie Island. So that is the setting of the next episode, Escape from the Pie Folk. Which, I was wondering about this in this episode, because I'm just like, wouldn't this episode be titled Escape from the Pie Folk? But, Butterfly Follies, comes in contact with the fact that, Star is just seen as the failure. That's the funny thing too, is so much effort was always taken to make it so that Star wouldn't be seen as the failure of the butterfly family, only for humans worldwide to just see her as just that. But for her to actually be seen as, the liberator, the salvation to the monster race. So it's a very interesting setup for the most part. But A fun episode. Next episode's already out, so I'm definitely gonna check that out as well. Tell me your thoughts on this episode tell me, what did you think about this being the season premiere? Did you think it was a good setup? Did you think it helped reintroduce us to a lot what's going to be happening in this season, or do you feel that it only works when paired with the next episode? Say anything in the comment section below. But if you like this review, feel free to leave me a like. I didn't do this as a two-parter because I felt like this episode should stand on its own, and for the most part it kind of does. It's good segue from the last episode, but it's also kind of like, if we were already gonna segue into the next episode, why not make it straight up like a two-parter outright? But maybe that would have given things away. Whatever. Also, if you did like this review, feel free to leave me a dislike. Let me know what I did wrong in the comment section below so I might better myself for future videos. And if you want to, because I'll definitely be bringing you more Star vs. the Forces of Evil reviews, feel free to subscribe, because there's plenty more pie-tastic episodes where this came from. But until then, I will see you Mume folk in the next episode. But until then, take care.